Well, the last 24 hours has seen a dichotomy of events, emotions, and direction between President Trump and the Republican Party and President Biden and the Democrats, right? The RNC capped off its convention with Donald Trump, who won the nomination and given the longest convention speech in history. Here now to discuss Deputy Director for Communications for Donald J. Trump for President, Caroline Sunshine. Caroline, first of all, congratulations. Most observers call it the best RNC they've ever seen. Did we see the unveiling of Trump 2.0 last night?
Thank you. That's a tremendous credit to President Trump himself. I call President Trump the great American warrior. You know, Ronald Reagan, the great communicator, another U.S. president who actually survived the assassin's bullet. But I call President Trump the great American warrior. And what you saw on that stage last night was his strength, his candor, his humor on full display. I'm actually reminded of the words of a woman who spoke the night before at our convention. She was the sister.
Yeah. The theme of unity, though, was spoken throughout the entire event, and it was felt throughout, which is not what's happening with the Democratic Party right now. In fact, no, even before this week, a poll by AP showed 73% of Republicans wanted Trump to continue. Only 35% of Democrats wanted Biden, and that was before this week. What do you make of the mess over there?
Absolutely. The Democrat Party is in disarray, chaos, have been for a while. Look, the country wants unity. Unity is on the ballot this November as much as any of the issues that are most important to the American people, like inflation, like immigration. But the Democrat Party can't hardly unify themselves, let alone unify this country. President Trump's original message of "Make America Great Again" has always had a unifying theme to it, you know, and this entire week at our convention, certainly last night in President Trump's speech, You saw him speak about making America strong again, safe again, secure again, affordable again, even happy again, right? You know, we still have our inalienable rights of, yes, life, liberty, but also the pursuit of happiness. I think that has felt more and more out of reach for the average American these last 4 years under Joe Biden. And what they saw reflected in President Trump last night was hope, remembering, oh, you know what? This was good once before. It can be good again because of President Trump's winning policies that worked on behalf of our country, and especially on behalf of the average American.
You know, it's interesting that any American would be offended at the idea of making America great. You mentioned Ronald Reagan a moment ago. I think there was a Reagan moment last night. I want to share it with you in the audience and then get your thoughts.
In the entire world, I tell you this, we want our hostages back. And they better be back before I assume office, or you will be paying a very big price.
I mean, the parallels between Jimmy Carter and Ronald Reagan and the Iranian hostages and what's happening right now are uncanny, aren't they?
Oh, again, you know, what you saw on that stage last night from President Trump, that's what leadership looks like. I go back to the debate 2 weeks ago. I call it the debate to end all debates. There was such a clear contrast between Joe Biden and President Trump's presence. And one of the things was that Joe Biden's presence clearly brought fear to the American people and comfort to our enemies. President Trump, by contrast, on that debate stage 2 weeks ago and on stage last night, you can tell it wasn't just the American people that were watching the RNC convention. It's also our enemies watching all the time. When they hear that message from President Trump, it sends a signal. Like you said, you mentioned Ronald Reagan, peace through strength, right? We know that weakness invites chaos. That's what we've seen under Joe Biden. It's actually strength that brings peace. Americans remember that about President Trump, too, the only president in the modern era not to get us into a new war. You heard President Trump mention earlier that Vladimir Putin likely would not have invaded Ukraine if he hadn't watched Joe Biden's withdrawal of Afghanistan, where he can't even remember the names of the 13 U.S. troops who died on his watch.
Let me jump in before I let you go, because there's an interesting theory out there that Trump picked the last song, right, Nessun Dorma, to send a message to deep state actors, in part because it was at the end of the movie Some of Our All Fears, and we know that movie was about getting rid of terrorists and deep state actors. You're part of the communications teams. Have you guys thought it through that much?
I can neither confirm nor deny it's classified. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. You did hear, though, from First Lady Melania Trump earlier in the week. She mentioned her husband is a lover of music. How beautiful, the drama of opera, so beautiful. But I'll leave you with this. President Trump did say last night, for far too long, the American people have expected and accepted far too little from their own government. We know part of his message is to drain the swamp and return government to being of, for, and by the people. And how poetic and operatic is that?
Yeah, and of course, deep state actors beware. Caroline, thank you very much. Talk to you again soon.